Okay, let's hit a little warm up on here. Okay. So what you'll notice is that I'm hitting more of a hamstring bias stiff-legged deadlift. And there's two ways to do them really. I kind of have a distinction. I kind of call one a Romanian deadlift and one a stiff-legged deadlift. Although that's a pretty contended subject in the industry at the minute. The definitions of both of those exercises. Some people say they're the same, some people say they're different. The way that I distinguish it, a stiff-legged deadlift is hamstring bias, and a Romanian deadlift is glute bias. So what do I mean by that? So if I'm doing what I would call a stiff-legged deadlift, like I am today, I'm grabbing the bar, coming nice, and my knees are staying almost straight, flat back, and my glutes are going up to the ceiling as high as possible. I'm getting an insane stretch on the hamstrings. However, if I was to do what I would call a Romanian deadlift, I'm going to take the bar, start in the same position. However, there's going to be a lot more knee flexion, and I'm going to sink back into the glutes a lot more. So instead of sticking the bum up to the ceiling, I'm kind of putting it back as far as I possibly can, like so. So there's more knee flexion. I'm sinking back into those glutes a little bit more and driving up. You're a lot stronger in this position, so you're going to be able to lift more weight than you would with a hamstring bias. So a hamstring bias, glute bias. They look pretty similar, but they feel completely different. First set. I'm going for 15. Whew. 16. Oh. It's always nice when you're on a fat loss phase to still be hitting like mini strength PRs. It's kind of like added evidence that, okay, I'm not losing that much muscle, or I can't be losing that much muscle because my strength is still very steadily climbing. Especially when you've been doing the same movement for, you know, over 4 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, and your strength is still certainly climbing. Because then it's less about, kind of your CNS, your central nervous system, adaptability, and your neurological kind of adaptability. And it's literally about raw strength adaptations in the actual muscles themselves. Only 2 sets of these. Hip hinges, especially hamstring bias, just cook my hamstrings. I only need 2 or 3 sets maximum, and my hamstrings are absolutely cooked, which is good. It takes a while to recover from, multiple days. It's exactly what I'm looking for, This the approach I'm taking for this particular fat loss phase is I'm going to be doing 3 days a week, upper lower split. So it goes like upper lower upper, and then lower upper lower. Really pushing the intensity. Still doing between 6 and 10 sets per muscle group, hard, intense, but having those extra days in between to really recover from them. Especially because I'm in a pretty busy period at the moment, up and coming with the coaching, etc. It helps to have, you know, that balance of like enough intensity to really stimulate the muscles for them to be able to recover and from, you know, for atrophy not to occur, but also to have the time to like focus on the business prospects that I'm trying to do and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a nice balance. And to be fair, it seems to be going quite well. As I said, strength is maintaining, if not growing a little bit. And yeah, man, super cool. Let me reorganize the camera and then hit a second set. Straps in. Oh man. Whew. Okay. That's enough of that. 2 sets. 1 set of leg curls. That's what I'm saying. Only 3 sets of hamstrings per session, but the hip hinge stuff absolutely destroys them every single time. So, stuff. Let's go get a set of that. Typically when I was training hamstrings, I do leg curls, and then I do RDLs afterwards. And then for some reason, on these lower days, I ended up doing like hip hinge movements, and then, so I've a good mornings or stiff leg deadlifts, and then going into leg curls afterwards, and literally cuts my top set in half, like strength-wise. My hamstrings are so cooked from the hip hinges, especially towards that bottom position, the stretch position of a leg curl. Oh, unreal. Like, so difficult to control. So, yeah, it's been a humbling experience. So let's log this in here. And the hamstring's already pretty warm, so I can just jump straight into a set, really. Oh man. Smith machine squats. You notice I'm going to be only going maybe 2/3 of the way up. This is a bit of a amended technique from me for a couple of reasons. It's one, it keeps the tension on the muscle, which isn't inherently the reason why I'm doing it, but it's one factor, right? So I'm keeping the tension on the muscle. I found that going all the way up to lockout every single time was so systemically fatiguing. Like my cardiovascular system afterwards was so taxed, and like getting all the sets in. I'm doing 5 sets of it, 4 sets, and then a superset with some bodyweight squats, and it was just so fatiguing. So I found by only doing 2/3 of the way up, I keep the tension on the muscle, and thus I'm able to use less load. And then by using less load, it's not as systemically fatiguing, and I'm not traveling as much distance, right? So I'm getting essentially more for less, more metabolic fatigue for less systemic fatigue. That's what I'm trying to do. Metabolic fatigue being the fatigue in the muscle I'm trying to target. So I also felt like after I amended my technique, my quads were more sore, yet I was less gassed out. Win-win. A sip of the intra-workout carbs. As I was saying before, absolute lifesaver when you're on a cut and you need more of a sustained energy release throughout an entire session, especially towards the back end of that session, especially after something as fatiguing as squats. Something I wanted to riff on actually, to do with fat loss diets in particular. It's so important to have an end goal, an end weight, an end date. Having a light at the end of the tunnel, psychologically, makes the whole process a lot easier. I think one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make is they go into a diet, a fat loss diet in particular, because they're more psychologically fatiguing. And they're like, I'm just gonna diet with no end goal, no end point. So they're just dieting kind of into infinity. And then, that's just not sustainable. There's only so much dieting you can take, right? Physically and mentally, before you need to take a break. So dieting for a sustained period of time to a certain weight or a certain date, taking a break, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That's the best approach. Another set. Let's go for 10. So this last one is going to be particularly brutal. So I do a full set and then superset bodyweight squats, just to kind of, again, add that intensity. I'm only training 3 times a week, so I have to bring that intensity if I'm looking to maintain all the muscle mass, or as much as I possibly can, whilst still fitting into my current schedule. As I said, seems to be going pretty well so far. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you ain't walking like you pooed yourself a little bit, do you even train legs hard enough? I don't know. Oh man. They are burning. Cool. That's the hard stuff out of the way anyway. Well, hardest. 2 sets of calves, second set, my rep match. I had a client ask me yesterday about bulking. So his client, we've got him on a lean bulk at the minute, put on some mass. And he's asking, okay, well, what about like bulking? You know, eating 1,000, 1,500 calories surplus over your maintenance. And I basically said, you, like, compared to what we're doing, which is like a lean bulk, compared to like what I think is like termed dreamer bulking, we're gonna gain probably around the same muscle. There seems to be a cap on kind of how much muscle you can gain in regards to how much calories you're eating. And then anything above that is probably all mostly gonna be fat. You're gonna put on a lot more fat than you are muscle. It seems to be something between a 5 to 10% increase in calories. We're on a 7.5% increase. I hit split that down the middle, kind of adjust as necessary depending on how the weight and strength progressions are going. It seems to be the sweet spot for gaining as much muscle as possible without excess fat. Anything more than that, you're probably gaining the same amount of muscle and just a heck of a load of extra fat, which you're then gonna have to diet off. And as we all know, when you're in a fat loss phase, muscle atrophy to some extent is inevitable. So, you know, what's better in the long run? Lean bulking all the way. Oh, ow. Ow. One more of those, my rep match. So, hitting the same amount of reps as I did in the previous set, but with as many rest pauses as I need to take to get there. Again, increasing that intensity because my frequency is quite low. So, you know. Seven more. 4, 5, 9, 10. Owie. Okay. Abs. Oh, feeling very exhausted from this one. So these are kneeling barbell rollouts. They're a personal favorite when it comes to ab training. Super stretch at the bottom, insane amount of tension when you're in that like plank position. Trying to come up and curl the spine, make sure so that what's bringing us up is the contraction of the abs as much as possible. There's not a lot of tension when you get to the top, but that first third coming back up, really feel that contraction. Trying to keep the hips relatively still as well, so a lot of it's coming from the flexion and extension of the spine. Your hips are going to have to come down in order to fully extend and plank yourself, but on the way back up, trying to get the hips to come up to like somewhat like a right angle. That's the ideal. I'm still perfecting my technique on it, as I am with most movements really. So another 20 seconds, and I'll hit a second set of this. Only 11 days left of the fat loss phase. You can really tell when you're really deep into it. The energy levels, the fatigue. Whew. But hey, keep pushing it, keep pushing the intensity regardless. Keep all your muscle, shut off some fat. 88.3 kilo on the scale this morning. So, that's fantastic. First time in, I don't even know how long, being sub 90 kilo, sub 200 pounds. I can't remember, I literally can't remember the last time I was, so it's a good feeling, it's a nice feeling. Final stretch, maybe even get a little bit below that target weight of 88 kilo. So then when maintenance comes around, especially over Christmas, and I'm full of food, full of carbs, I come back up and I'm operating within the 88 to 89 kilo range. That'll be ideal. And then come end of Jan, another fat loss phase after a decent amount of maintenance, decent amount of fatigue, recovery, diet fatigue, psychological fatigue, physical fatigue, and then hit it again. Exactly what I was saying earlier about doing phases. Have a fat loss phase, have a goal, reach that phase, break, rinse and repeat. That's it. Finito. Okay. Plan now. Pack all this stuff away. Get home. Quick snack. Clients all afternoon. And then admin this evening. Littering some food in. And editable content, including this. Exciting stuff. Whew. I'll see you in the next one.